JP goes with golf.
Right.
So golf clap for JP.
Quiet, please.
Chip, do you ever get to say shut up or anything, or you just wave flags at people?
We
Do you get to
Is the Masters on Easter?
exert your authority?
Easter's the Sunday before.
Sunday before.
Is the drop, chip, and putts on Easter Sunday. We had an issue when I think I might have told you all this story. Will, I don't think you've heard this. We had a group that teed off, and we had a lady that she was having a good time. Let's just put it that. And she was probably about 50 yards down the fairway, from the tee. And one of the guys hit a tee shot, and all of a sudden I hear "Baba Boo!" And so I don't know if you know much about the decor at Augusta National. So I walked down there.
I've never been.
But I didn't know
yeah,
if you'd heard.
yeah.
So I walked down there, and I'm like, and I generally, what I will generally tell them is, I figure you would rather hear this from me than somebody who could throw you out, and say, folks, just a reminder, this is Augusta National Golf Club. Please, please refrain from loud outbursts like that. Well, before I know it, somebody had come from behind me. Was one of our supervisors who was from a different hole, just happened to be walking by. He heard her. He came all the way across the fairway, just got up right in front of her and said, "We don't do that here." Turned around and walked off. I was like, all right.
But didn't do anything. No consequence.
Not at that time, no. I have seen folks be escorted off, but generally we want to try to help the patrons have a good time. That's our responsibility, and we try to, again, we say we'd rather you hear it from us than somebody that's going to make you leave.
So this is one of my fun things or things I've been.
That's cool that you get to work.
That I like to.
I think it's really cool.
I appreciate it.
I think a lot of people need to play. The whole Play It Forward initiative, Chip, is a good idea.
Jack's been advocating it for years.
People that don't know it, it's not. People want to hit the big dog and let it rip, hit as far as can. I don't like the whole driver sand wedge, driver pitch wedge golf games. I really don't like that. I don't think it's golf. I don't think that's how it's meant to be. You're supposed to be. You have 14 clubs in your bag. You got all these irons. Your second shot should be using the iron.
Hit a 3-wood. Whatever.
But
just quit letting them use these clubs that got a frying pan on them. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, that is one of the issues they're talking about with the pros is that going back to smaller heads or the wood, which I've been advocating for years is wood for pros, just like baseball. The Pebble Beach has posted this at their course, and it's not about drivers. And this is one thing that I try to tell people why they should move up on their tee box is because it's not about how far you hit your driver. Yeah, if I hit it 30 yards further than you. Well, on the next shot, we're both hitting from 150, and I'm hitting a pitch wedge, and you're hitting a 6-iron.
Yep.
That's the difference, is that your second shots are supposed to be hitting the same thing. Not that, hey, we're supposed to drive and be equal on our drives. People think that you should be equal after your drives with the women. No, the women should still be in front of you after their drives. The people in the tee box in front of you should still be in front of you after their drives because they hit their 7-iron less than you do. Yep. Nobody thinks about it. It's supposed to be about the second shot. So Pebble Beach has done this and put up a board or sign showing this. So average 7-iron hitting distance for you folks listening, for you golfers out there. If you hit a 7-iron less than 115 yards, play the front red tees. There's 5 tees in this board. If you hit a 7-iron 115 to 135, you play the second level, the greens, seniors, some folks might call them. If you hit 135 to 155 with your 7, that is a white tees at 6,000 yards. Play those 6,000 yards white tees. Mm-hmm. For you slightly advanced guys who are a little bit better than the regular newbies, you gold guys, you're hitting your 7-iron 156 to 175, play 64 to 600 yards, the gold tees. And for everyone else, for you really good folks out there with the low handicaps, the 0-1s and pluses, anything over 175 with a 7-iron, you should be playing the very back tees.
So
not where how far you hit your driver. You're supposed to be thinking
that's not fair.
How far you hit your 7-iron.
Because I am not a scratch golfer, and I hit my 7-iron a whole lot better than that.
Well, that's on your short game, Keith.
I mean, it's very fitting. It's because again,
I shouldn't have to play from the very back tees, though.
I hit mine 165 to 185 depending on wind and line
Yeah.
and stuff. So I average 175 with my 7-iron. So I'll start there. So I'm right there on the back blues on that. But folks, that is, you should be looking at how far you hit your 7 as opposed, or pitch a wedge if you want to do that measure, as opposed
and generally
to your driver.
speaking, that you look at those distances again. White, that's going to be. I'm going to play whites because that's your mid to high handicapper, and then you've got your the gold's going to be your high single digit to mid handicapper,
Right.
and then you've got your scratcher low single.
I like to
digits.
play that gold. If people want to get serious and play blue, I mean, I don't
I'd
care.
like to play. I just want to play Pebble Beach.
It's just, no, I don't mind the. So here's the thing: those back tees are fine on every hole. 14 holes on the course. I don't have a problem with those very back tees. You know the 4 I do?
the par threes.
Yes, they're all 200 yards. They're par 4s. There's no par. Once they go back there, they're like, nah, screw you guys. You're hitting 3 woods on every par 3. All right, so that's what they're doing. Is that this week or next week? Riviera?
Pebble Beach was last week.
They had a 274-yard par 3 hole this week.
They're at Riviera this week. Rory's one off the lead.
Par 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
274?
Rory's panties are in a wad about it, too. Ask Chip. He don't want me to know. 274-yard par 3.
Got to hit a driver.
True. I think the average PGA distance is like 285.
It is kind of dumb.
We're right
though.
at 300.
I mean, I wouldn't cry about it because you just don't cry about things. But 200. There's no such thing as a 250-yard hole. They're either 200 or then the next is about 380 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's playing it in 2024. It played as the 3rd hardest hole in the course. So it ain't even the hardest one there, Chief.
Mhm.
The best players in the world played the hole 49 over par for the week and hit the green just 15% of the time. So what they decided to do was add 40 yards to it. That was when it was 230, Will. Now it's 275. So there you go. Well, some people argue, Chip,
I'm trying to.
everybody's got to get it under the same number of shots and everything. Other people argue like Tom, and I just don't feel right about it as far as I still got to get under par. There's a limit of number of shots it takes to get there. Like some guys are gonna have a way more of an advantage than other guys that they just can't hit it that far. I'm chipping every time, as some guys are gonna have a chance to putt during the week. So it is a different I think animal for that. That's the whole argument we just said about how far you hit your 7-iron. Like everybody should be able to hit the par 3s. I would assume without a driver. I think I had some. How about some Tiger Woods audio?
More competitive by we'll have fewer cards, so that in itself is going to make it more competitive just to be out here. Having Brooks come back, having Patrick Reed play as well as he is and committed to coming back to the tour, having Scotty as dominant as he has been, and to have Rory, complete the career Grand Slam. You have a lot of top players, but also you have a lot of youth that has come up during that time, and we're trying to create opportunities for that turnover coming from the PGA Tour U or it's the Korn Ferry, and try and get more youth out here because eventually they're going to take over the game. And so trying to create that opportunity, trying to create the right competitive model and the environment to foster that, that's been as what Doug asked, that's been the greater challenge of it all.
So he was talking about it could lead the formation of another tour. Well, wow, Will. I mean, Chip. Could it lead to the formation? What they're saying is what they're doing, Will. They're making less cards for the more prestigious golfers. So they're
also going to be in here in the next month when they play at the Players. Be on the lookout for and we'll probably talk about this when they get to TPC Sawgrass. They're going to announce as soon as probably next year. They are going to do it. I would say a borderline significant change to the schedule. You're going to see a trimming down of the PGA Tour schedule.
So
next year.
I think the PGA Tour. This is how LIV has scared them, is that they need to pay their elite guys more shrink the field so they could pay them more and have more elite fields. And what Tiger and them talking about, well, there's other tours and other places. These guys want to play professional golf some other places. So, they're like, play anywhere else, Chip. Play anywhere else in the world. Except don't play on LIV.
Well, I think they're wanting to. I won't say they're saying play anywhere else. I think they're trying to set up.
They don't want no scrubs over here in our area.
Well, I think that they're trying to set up basically like a developmental league to get these guys in.
AAA golf.
I
Pretty
think.
much.
Well, I think what they're doing, Chip, to be honest, is they are breaking off like the SEC Big Ten away from the regular everyday weekend banger golfer. I'm out here trying to stay on the tour. They don't want to play with those guys. They don't want to rub elbows with the guys who are trying to stay on the tour. With the guy, the tour pro that made it, the Mike, what's his name? That hit hit the hole in one. The PGA.
Michael Block.
They hate him. They can't stand people like that because they're not. Tiger, I'm telling you, this is how I see it. You can tell me I'm wrong. Tiger wants to play with these 16 people on this list. He don't want to play with Michael Block. He don't want to play with anybody else who accidentally made it this weekend. And that's their thing. That's the SEC Big Ten elitism of that. But what they've got to do is not just – you can't just like do what they're doing to the LIV guys as far as like, hey, you'll never come back. And then they're going to turn around and say, but you good ones can come. The rules were you good ones can come. Right? It wasn't like, well, you all can come. One guy played 9 holes on YouTube, and he's banned.
Wesley Bryant. They're having to. I don't. Block's not a good example because Block is not a professional. He's not a professional like playing on tour golfer. He's at a course, and he was the PGA Championship. They invite 100 of the pros who work at a golf course. They invite them to the tournament. That's Block's.
What I'm saying is that they don't want to play with Michael Block.
Well,
they don't want him taking. Think about how much TV time he took away from Roy sponsors or Tiger sponsors. You're not showing Sunday Red because you're talking to this Yahoo driving range.
But they're not just. And you've got some pushback from the traditional, including Tiger, and I would say Jack would say this. Arnold's tournament was going to say the same thing. They still want a cut. They think that's part of the culture and the fabric of golf is still have these no cut. They're not a fan of this the tour going to these no cut events. They still want to have a cut. There needs to be that not thread, but that part of the competition, so to speak. I don't think you're just going to have 100 because they're going down to 100 cards. You're not just going to have 100 guys at a lot of these tours. You're going to have a lot of sponsor exemptions. You're going to have a lot of local invites. So they're still going to field. And part of it was they had to shrink the fields because Thursday and Friday. And part of this is a pace of play thing. But Thursday and Friday, they were having a hard time getting the first and second rounds in before dark.
I don't really have a problem of them having the best people funnel into a bigger system or smaller whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want them just telling you can't come because you played on LIV, as opposed to every other tour and every other thing in the world.
LIV was the problem with LIV is it seems, from my understanding, this is just Chip's opinion, it seems to me that there was not a lot of cooperation. I mean, PGA Tour works with the DP World Tour, and a lot of those players that went to LIV were on the DP World Tour prior to. There was cohesion and collaboration between the two. Now, yes, I think part of that cohesion and collaboration was with kind of an understanding that the PGA Tour was going to be top dog.
And you're taking money from an autocratic government that kills people that talk bad about it.
But Tom,
Okay, Chip.
But Tom, here's the thing.
Okay.
The first year that this
the
all
United
happened,
States government's never killed anyone.
well, but not just that. The PGA Tour had that moral high ground until the year after when they made the framework agreement with
You're
them.
right.
So
You're right. But initially, I think that's.
I would agree with that if the PGA Tour hadn't
You're
bowed down.
taking money from a theocratic, autocratic government that kills people that don't agree with it.
I just wanted to make sure I heard that Tommy said that.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, he could be right about it all.
I think
again,
there was a lack of
I
collaboration.
don't think there's a government on the planet that's not killing people for no reason.
I think LIV wanted to disrupt things, and they've done so obviously, but there was not a collaboration on their part. I think the PGA Tour had to protect their turf because if you just let these guys go to LIV, and before LIV ever happened, these guys had to get to go play on go play on another tour or a non-sanctioned PGA Tour event. They had to get the tour's permission. Even before LIV ever happened. When LIV came into the framework, they there was no conversation from the LIV guys with PGA Tour. We're going to work with you on your schedule. So, yes, this first year we have these 12 or 14 events. But in the future, we're not going to guarantee that our events aren't going to coincide with Jack's tournament, with the players, with Arnold's tournament. And the Tour doesn't want that.
They want to be the big dog, is all it is.
I understand that the Tour doesn't want that. But they're not putting these guys on contract and paying them guaranteed money.
Yeah, they're not in charge of the world.
So every dime they
but
get,
they also have to make. And to Kevin's point,
but every dime they make, every dime that these guys make it on tour, they have to earn it by placing where they play.
Certainly, but they have.
On
the
the
tour
tour
has to make sure. And to Kevin's point, the Tour wants to make sure that the top talent's going to their marquee events.
So here's Scheffler winning 14% of his tournaments. Everybody thinks he's doing good. Well, Tiger just won 20, almost 1%.
Again, y'all,
Scotty'd have to win his next 14 tournaments in a row, and he'd still be short.
Did you see
of the percentage?
I don't think you saw the post this past week, and I actually think it's kind of funny because I don't know if y'all watched. And Scheffler did the same thing this week. This is the third tournament in a row. He's had a bad
terrible
first and second round. But then what did he do 2 weeks ago? He finished third. Last week he finished second. There's a guy put a post up. He's like, I love this new challenge that Scotty's doing where he's deciding to just mail in the first round and then trying to see if he can catch up to the guys the last 3 rounds.
Golfers and athletes and everybody today is bigger, faster, stronger. Tom, NASCAR's running 30 miles per hour slower than it used to be, and all these guys, these NBA guys are dunking 12-foot goals now. PGA Tour putting with all the advancements, all the putters, all the practicing, all the aim points, all the different things that they've done in 2005. From 4 to 8 feet, 69%. 2025, down 1% to 68%. From 10 to 15, these are pro putting. 31% in 2005, now 30. 19% in 2005, now 18. 12% in 2005, 12.7, down to 12.2 in 2005. Over 25%, over 25 feet, 5.7 to 5.4. Every distance across the board, putting has went down on the PGA Tour in the last 20 years.
You talk to guys.
That's pin placement too.
You talk to guys that played with Jack. Jack fundamentally was probably not known as the most fundamental. And let me finish my point here. But the most fundamental putter on tour. He wasn't. You'd say Ben Crenshaw was one of the first ones you picked. Phil Rogers was another short game expert. But they would also ask back then, or if you asked him back then, if you were under clutch, if it was the final round, you were down 1 on the back 9, who do you want making that putt? They would pick Jack every time, or Tiger. My dad, one of the last times Phil competed in the U.S. Open that finished second, I think it was at Marion in 2013. He had a putt on 16, a 5 or 6 foot putt on 16 that to tie Justin Rose. My dad, and I talked to my dad about it after, and he misses the putt, and 16 was the last real good birdie chance he had. My dad and I talked about it that night, and he said, if you're Jack, you make that putt. If you're Tiger, you make that putt. If you're Ben Hogan, you make that putt. If you're Arnold, you make that putt. If you're Tom Watson, you make that putt. If you want to be counted in that group of guys, you have to make that putt. And that was, I think that's why Phil never completed the career Grand Slam.
So. All right, boys. I think that's it. I had one more before we went to break, and I lost what I was going to say. I missed one of our Olympic things is what I missed, and then I lost it, of course. Finding our golf stuff. All right, so we'll be back here in a few minutes. We got NBA and college basketball to talk about here on KTCBroadcasting.com.
I'm Calvin Hastings, and I want to invite you to join us.
Listen to the best music and sports in the Carolinas on KTC Broadcasting.